Hi, I'm Carol Allen, Vedic astrologer and relationship coach, and founder of loveisinthestars.com. And I'm really excited to share with you today a simple way astrology can help you understand yourself and those you love so much more so that you can have more peace of mind and more clarity in all of your interactions and more self-acceptance, right? And when we have self-acceptance, not only do we feel better, but it's more fun to be who we are, right? And people feel better around us. So this is really such a huge core thing in life. And astrology really believes in the notion that we're pretty much wired at the factory. And parents of more than one children all say that they came in the way they were from day one, right? And temperament studies on babies really back this up. The idea of nature versus nurture says nature accounts for so much of what makes us who we are. And the reason astrology works, whether you believe in it or not, is that it's literally like having a celestial map of who you are, a map of your soul, your personality, your talents, your psychology, your life experiences, what will happen and when. I've been practicing it now 29 years, and I'm constantly blown away by how well it works and how accurate it is. So if you're not very experienced with astrology, or even if you are, just put whatever cynicism you have on the shelf and just try to take this in, because this is really, really fun and helpful, and like I said, can really help you with your own self-acceptance and all of your relationships, which, at the end of the day, we all really are the most impacted by our relationships. Yes, work is very important, career is very important. I know you all work, right? But long time studies on what makes people the happiest and what, when people look back on their lives, mean the most to them, say again and again that it's our relationships. So everybody's heard of course, sun signs. The idea that if you're an Aries, you're athletic, or if you're a Leo, you're bossy, or if you're, a Cancer, you're a homebody. If you're a Gemini, you're crazy, right? Well, first of all, I'm here to tell you all of that is pretty much just pop astrology. All of that is fun, and it can give you a little insight into who you are. But the idea that every Aries is an athlete, and every Leo is bossy, and every Cancer is a homebody, and every Gemini is crazy, just doesn't work. It's simply not true. And it actually contributes to why a lot of people think astrology is nonsense, okay? And I like to use the analogy that thinking you are your sun sign and that your sun sign is the most descriptive thing about you is like saying the flour in the cake, in any cake, is descriptive of the cake. And so even though flour is, of course, one of the main ingredients in baked goods, which we're all figuring out lately more than ever, right? Wink, wink. If you had a mouthful of flour, would that taste anything like a cake? No. It's just one of the main ingredients that holds it all together, and that if you took away, unless it was a flourless cake recipe, would make the cake not work, right? So it's a huge important thing. It's not gonna convey the experience of cake. That's what it's like taking your sun sign and making it seem like that should be all of you. It's just a part of you. And honestly, it's only about 10%, right? But there is something that is really helpful in giving you a shorthand to yourself and the people you love if you're not an astrologer and you don't study how to read a very complicated chart to help understand, all their different aspects of themselves, right? Sort of like a baker with cake, right? Your chart shows the sugar, the baking powder, the nuts, the oats, the fruit, all the things you throw in a cake. Yeah, fruitcake, not the best, but listen, my mother made a great one. But anyway, you get the analogy, right? So astrologers, especially the kind I am, I practice something called Vedic astrology, which I mentioned at the top, which is the system of India, which is far older than the system most of us have come to know in our newspapers and magazines, right? This is actually believed by many scholars to be the original system of astrology, and is endlessly fascinating. And anyway, but today for our purposes, we're going to stick with just one topic. And this topic is the idea that there's something easier than sun signs and more helpful than sun signs. And they also make it so you don't even need to ask somebody their birthday. And you don't have to call their mother and ask for their birth time, which is what you need to do a whole chart, right? So you don't have to be stuck wishing you knew their sun sign or wishing you knew their whole chart. There's something far simpler to ascertain that doesn't require asking them anything at all. It just requires you observe them. And you can use this on yourself. It just requires you be honest about yourself. And these are actually what professional astrologers talk about more than signs, and certainly Vedic astrologers, because we don't talk about signs hardly at all. We kind of don't care. We care about other stuff that's way more complicated. But anyway, so these are called planetary personality profiles. And this is the notion that you will exhibit the qualities astrologically associated with the different planets. And there are qualities, personality, temperamental qualities, that are associated with all the planets. So, and our language reflects this, right? We say somebody's martial. That's a Mars word, right? We can also say they're a Martian, but they're probably not, even though they might act like it, right? We say somebody's mercurial, which of course means fickle or changing their mind all the time. That comes from the planet Mercury, the word mercurial. We say they're Saturnine. Saturnine means sort of depressive and serious, because that's what the planet Saturn indicates in astrology. Well, the signs are all considered ruled by one planet. So oftentimes when we talk about an Aries being athletic, like I keep saying, or a Taurus caring about making money, what we're talking about really is the planet that is in charge of that sign, the planet that gives its influence the most to that sign. Now, I don't know who decided long ago that each sign has a planet that rules it, but that's usually what we're talking about when we're talking about the signs. So there's a shorthand that's even better, because somebody can be in Aries and not be athletic at all, and not be a homebody Cancer at all, and not be a money-making Taurus at all, and not be a bossy Leo at all, or even a social one, and not be a crazy Gemini at all. I keep talking about them being crazy. There are a few. They give the rest of them a bad name. Most of them are not, right? Okay, and it's because of what the planets themselves imbue us with. And the thing of it is, you can have in your chart a planet giving you way more influence in terms of your personality and disposition than the sign it's associated with. And so this is why you might be a couch potato Aries and a shy and timid Leo and a roving, traveling, always on the go Cancer and a poor Taurus and a sane Gemini. Okay? This helps to explain it. So I'm going to quickly go through each of the planetary personality profiles, and most of us will associate with especially one, and then you'll have like a close second possibly. So think about the people you love and yourself as I explain them. So let's start with the sun. The sun, of course, is not a planet. It's a star, but in astrological lore, we refer to it and the moon as a planet. So the sun, of course, is the power source of the solar system. Everything revolves around it, and without it, we would all die. So sun people are much like the sun. They're royal, they're regal. It's the king of the cosmos, right? It's the king of the solar system. So sun people have a lot of poise, have a lot of confidence, and they want to make a big impact. And so usually we say things like they light up a room. I couldn't help but notice them. They had a lot of influence, right? Sun people attract a lot of attention and everyone revolves around them. Now, that's the positive qualities of the sun. Any of these, there's also going to be a shadow side. So the shadow side of the sun is they might want power too much. They might be pushy and arrogant to compensate for insecurity. They might demand that you revolve around them, right? A healthy sun person just naturally will, but an unhealthy sun person won't, right? So unfortunately, we all know unhealthy ones. And I'm sure you're thinking of somebody right now. Okay, moon people. Moon people are the feelers of the world. Moon people are the most heart-centered, the most needing connection. They are the love bugs and the puppy dogs and the helpers of the world. So moon people are often counseling and teaching everyone, feeding the poor, rescuing the homeless and kittens, but enough about me. And in relationships, moon people really crave connection and time together and really want to share all of their innermost feelings. So moon people are the most sensitive and the most lovely when healthy. I mean, this is the person that will give you the shirt off their back and do whatever they can to make the world a better place and to prioritize their relationships really before everything. Now, of course, a shadow side of moon people is they'll be needy and clingy and overly emotional and whiny and complaining and they'll tell you their every passing thought and they never stop, okay? And they overgive and then resent. So watch out. It seems like they're generous, but there's an agenda, right? So unfortunately, we all know these people. Mars. Now in the work world, you run into a lot of Mars people. Mars people are ambitious and driven and want to get things done. And they don't want to read a spreadsheet. They don't want to think about, projections. They just want to do it, right? So they want to leap without looking. They want to go for the gusto, and they talk fast, and they don't want to be bothered with things like nuance and subtlety and feelings, right? But they get it done. They're fearless. They're brave. They'll work tirelessly. They go, go, go. And they often have amazing intuition and they often have amazing strategy. They're competitive. So every company has a Mars person at the top or throughout, management. And these people can get just a ton done. So the shadow of a Mars person is obvious. They're too competitive. They'll step on your neck to get it done. They can rush too quickly to execute plans and ideas without really weighing and evaluating the consequences, the projections, if it's going to work, right? They don't necessarily consider feelings enough. So this is the manager that doesn't care that you're having a hard time and that doesn't care that your dog just died and doesn't care that you need a sick day and doesn't want you to take your sick day. They want you to do the job because they're in a hurry and they're always in a hurry. So unfortunately, I bet you're thinking of a lot of people right now. Yes, we all are. They're blunt and they're direct and they can be a little cutting, but it's not personal. So every team needs one of these. Every team needs all of these, right? And in relationships, some of these go together and some of these don't. And you can probably tell who of these don't go together already. So that's a Mars person. Next is a Venus person. Venus people are the most fun. They're the most charming, the most pleasant, the most gracious, the most diplomatic. Venus people are usually salespeople. These are people on the retail floor, right? These are people who are the most creative also. So these are often designers and artists, right? And these are people that at first it's easy to not take seriously. They seem too playful. They seem a little indulgent. They just want to have a good time. But everyone loves them. And so they have the best contacts. They have the best parties. Good things happen around them. People want to finance them and fund them. People want to do what they say because they just want to be in their sphere, right? So Venus people are great. And of course, there's a shadow side. Venus people can be too indulgent. These are people that put fun ahead of productivity. These are people who say they'll be there and then they get a better offer. These are people who they overspend and all their expense account charges are a little interesting. They go to Sephora and they try to write it off, right? They want to have fancy lunches. They want to drive great cars. These people look good. So pretty much every celebrity is a Venus person, pretty much. They're indulgent and they're all about having a good time. So, but they make life worth living. Okay, next is a Mercury person. This is a really good planetary profile for the work world. Mercury people are data people. These are people that like spreadsheets. These are people that like projections. These are people that like counting beans and crunching numbers and keeping up with information. These are people that also like to study trends and what's coming and figure out how to communicate messaging and how to do press and media and social media the best. So, but they don't necessarily want to have enough fun, right? And so when a Venus person goes to a Mercury person, it says, let's have a party, you know, or let's do a big sale. The Mercury person is going to care too much about the data, right? They're going to be like, prove it. Let's do a survey. Let's do a study. Let's take our time. But if you can prove things to a Mercury person, if the numbers tell the right story, they're in. So the shadow side of a numbers person is they can be, and I already sort of implied this, they can be a little bit too in their heads, too about data, not enough about what might just be a good idea because it's cool or because it'll attract great branding or attention or it'll make people feel good or it'll move things forward for the company because it'll increase morale or it'll improve, you know, relationships, etc. If the numbers don't add up, they're always going to say no. Which leads us to our next personality, which is Saturn. Saturn is the planet of discipline, focus, restraint, and slow, steady progress. So Saturn people, these are your steady eddies. These are your reliable, dependable, do the right thing, work super hard, nose to the grindstone people. And they can be too conservative. They can be too cautious. They can take too long to make a decision. They can be perfectionists. Saturn people do not want to make a mistake. They always want to do things the right way at the right time. And they don't want to upset anybody. And they want to make sure everything's efficient. They emphasize efficiency too much, right? Efficiency, productivity, these are all Saturn things. So every group, every organization, every company, every family needs a Saturn person, but they can be a real drag. So the shadow side of Saturn is they can be a real drag. They can be, you know, the person that says no to everything, the person that doesn't want to, the person, again, who just wants efficiency ahead of fun or efficiency ahead of what's going to boost morale, what's going to create connection. To them, connection is way lower on their list behind, again, productivity, reliability, solving problems, fixing systems, setting up systems. So yeah. So I think of them as like the Eeyores of the world, right? They can be a little too like negative. And in a tough time, kind of like now, right? Saturn people can get very depressed, actually. They can get very freaked out, very scared. They can think nothing's ever going to go good again. And so thank goodness there are Jupiter people. This is my personal favorite one. Jupiter people are the optimists of the world. These are the counselors, teachers, advisors. These are the cheerleaders of the world. These are the people with big thinking, big possibility thinking that are always trying to find what's going to be the best and the most helpful and the most impactful. So more than being ambitious, they're hopeful and they're healers. And in the work world, these are the people that lift everybody else up. And in terms of a company, these are the people that try to have forward thinking in a way that's going to create the most abundance and the most possibility. And so Jupiter people in tough times are like, it's going to work out, it's going to be fine. They just have this like endless buoyancy that helps them keep going no matter what. Now, the shadow side of Jupiter is they sometimes need to look more at the metrics and the numbers. They sometimes need to consider that not everyone else feels the way they do. And so they don't want to just brush aside other people's fears and concerns and caution. And they don't want to necessarily think that they always know everything, because unfortunately, Jupiter people think they always know everything, and sadly I know this one very well personally. But enough about me. Anyway, so those are the planetary personality profiles. We don't include the outer planets because they're more minor players, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus. But of course, all the planets, just like all the ingredients in a cake, are part of what make you and everyone you love up to be the wonderful, complicated, delicious people that you all are. So I hope you've enjoyed this today. Just watch how people behave, look at what matters to them, think about how they move through the world, and you don't even need to ask them their birthday. And behave accordingly with them, and don't take it personally, because we're all just doing the best we can with who we are. So be well and God bless everyone. Thank you for watching.